as it's building up, it's providing an excellent place for these plants to grow. Have a look up on the right, there's sea gloria laying down on the edge of the water, 60 metres up on the edge. So when we approach these animals today, guys, nice and quiet, no quick movements. They are wild crocodiles, so they're not all tame or pets or in a zoo. And as we get a bit closer here, I'm going to point out the babies to you as well too. They'll be laying around in the mum. She just turned her head to have a look at us. About a 9-footer. Laying out there working on a suntan this morning. Pretty tough job, but someone's got to do it. So. Over 5 metres, there's one of the babies there. Let's see the little guy with the green dot on him. Another one there as well, the green dot. There's a heap of them hiding up under the trees. There's a couple laying in there too, side by side.
Just moving now.
The little guy just walking there. Just going to swing us around here so I can get a bit of control. Now for a female to let us sit next to her with babies at her feet is a very unique situation. So we do get some pretty special stuff happening for us up here in Proserpine River. And the reason she's actually letting us do this is she doesn't think that we're a threat to her or her babies. So yeah, she's actually just sitting there doing a bit of people watching at the moment. Maybe checking out the smorgasbord that we got on board, you never know. Yeah, the little guys are all tucked up under the sticks there. You can see the sail there on one, another one here in the shadows, another one over there. Probably a few just tucked in behind her there too that we can't see. I'm going to tell you all about that later. But they can lay up to 100 eggs.
Is that salty or fresh?
These are estuarine crocodiles. People nickname them salties, but it's not a very good nickname because they live in fresh water or salt water. They can move from one to the other at any time. The word estuarine actually describes this river as well. It's an estuary crocodile. It's a seawater that we're in right now. The tide's going out. But if we go upstream to our right far enough, you move from salt water into fresh water. So at some point in the middle, you get this mixing effect happening. That's what estuarine describes, the mixing of salt with fresh water. And being cold-blooded reptiles, they can't incubate their eggs by laying. Well, sorry, they actually use their environment, I should say, to control their body temperature, and it also means they can't incubate eggs by laying on them either because they're the same temperature as the habitat. So they will move around quite a lot to manipulate the temperature. At the moment you can see she's laying out in the sun. She's actually side on to the sun, absorbing as much heat as possible. See a little baby just walking across behind her there, doing the high walk. It's holding its body clear of the mud as it wanders along. So yeah, they do have that ability, whereas mum can't do that. She's going to sink down in the mud if she tries to do that. She's a bit too heavy. But notice how it's moved into the shade there. Look how it just almost disappears as well. The camouflage is just amazing, isn't it? But you see a whole bunch of little guys up here too. See them up on top there? There's about 5 or 6 laying up there. Laying on top of each other. We'll hang out with mum on a picnic. She's probably got the radio on the esky just up behind the trees there so we can't see her. She's just moved into the water there. She's got a blow up on, I suppose. Slowly disappearing. You wouldn't really know that she was there now, would you? How long do you reckon she can hold her breath for?
30 minutes.
How long? Have a wild guess.
30 minutes.
How long? 3 hours. Keep going.
Right.
Not that many. They've been seen in captivity holding their breath for 6 hours, so I reckon if your leg's in the crocodile's mouth, it's going to win the hold your breath contest somehow. So here you go there. But they have a very unique body design to do that. They have a 4-chambered heart, just like us. They can slow their heart rate down to 2 to 3 beats in a minute. And they combine that low heart rate with a bit of interesting plumbing in their blood supply. They redirect the oxygenated blood to the organs when they go into dive mode. So by slowing it all down and saving the oxygen, they can remain beneath the surface for up to 6 hours if they wish. But not very quick, not that quickly, but a metre a year is quite significant movement. There's a little guy on the right, just beside us, little 1-year-old, just laying in the trees there, see the green dot on him. So very good camouflage, haven't they? You can see it's almost invisible there. Just a bit of sun on the tail, just slowly warming up. They're just sitting there, just there, the green dot's on its belly. The head's there. So just getting your eyes used to the colours and the shapes. And we will see a few little guys like this today. Just remember, all the little ones you see today, including glorious babies, won't survive. They're going to die. There's lots of them. crocodiles. We'll talk a bit more about that a little later. Yeah, just amazing how they blend in with their environment, isn't it? See the croc up on the left here on the bank? Left hand side. It's actually Gus. He's 4.5, nearly 5 metres. This guy about half a tonne. So that's what those little guys can grow into, but this bloke here's not finished growing yet. Have a go how wide his belly is. There's about a half a tonne of crocodile there. Just get everyone to sit down at the moment, guys. We're going to get right in next to him. Just that people behind you have a bit of trouble seeing over the top there, but we'll give you an opportunity for a photo. Look at the width of his belly there. There's at least a half a tonne of crocodile laying there in front of you right now, and his name is Gus. We've actually nominated him as the next actor for the Colgate tooth whitening product when it comes out, because he's got really badly stained teeth. See the end of his tail sticking as well, these things shoot off. So they do really nasty stuff to each other. They rip each other's legs off, have huge gaping wounds in each other's bodies, and anything that comes off doesn't grow back right away. They do sometimes have their own unique identity. On the other side of his belly, he's actually got a lot of holes and tears in him at the moment, so he's been doing a lot of fighting here a few months ago. Now that it's starting to warm up, we're in the spring, these guys actually are starting to get, see, he just shut his eye there, that's how worried he is. He just closed his eye while we're sitting here looking at him. He just opened up as I mentioned it. But he's just laid there with the tide this morning, and then basically he let the tide go out, and it's actually popped him up on the bank, so he's in position to do a bit of sunbaking there now and warm up. I don't know about you, but I reckon this is the best way to look at these animals in their natural environment. And we're looking at normal behaviours here, or natural behaviours. We're not looking at modified behaviours that you'll see in a zoo or a wildlife park. They don't rush out like trained attack dogs like you see them in those shows in wildlife parks. They're basically just going to lay around at the moment and try and warm up. So this is normal behaviour, which is great to see. Any questions at all about Gus?
How do you know he's a male?
Well, I asked him out once and he wasn't in it, so females don't get that big. And he's not wearing lipstick or eyeshadow either too, so he's definitely got a bit more. You never know. Sorry? You can't, not with a big one. It's impossible to tell the age of that guy there. The reason, as I said before, is their growth rates will vary dramatically depending on where they are and how good food supply is, how warm it is while they're digesting that food. So they'll actually, as I said, sometimes triple their normal growth rate. So he could be the same size as the croc that's a metre shorter than him. And he's just had better conditions while he was growing up. Sorry? The only way you can get an idea on the age is to kill him, which is not a good idea because he's protected. They do lay down growth rings in some of their bones and some of their teeth, just like a tree trunk. So they do section those sometimes if they have a deep croc they recover. You get an approximate age, but it's not exact. Yeah. In a mangrove habitat, their main diet is actually mud crabs. I reckon I'd like to have a staple diet of mud crabs in there. But they do eat everything, of course. They'll eat fish, other crustaceans, birds, mammals, pigs, you name it. And they do eat each other as well. They're cannibalistic. And the fact that they eat each other is a very important population controlling mechanism for the species. The fact that they do control their own numbers improves their chance of survival as a species, would you please? So they're not like humans, they won't overpopulate the habitat. Their numbers will be dictated by the amount of food that's available in the environment within a week. So the crop numbers in this habitat will be dictated by the food supply. They'll make sure that you're not overloading them.
You fill it up to like
typically they're going to stay fairly close to the water because that's safety for them. So when they want to go hide themselves, they're going to go into the water. I'll just demonstrate that now. When I get near them, I'll put the bow of the boat on the bank because if it does get on board, I'm up the back, so you've got to eat 30 seconds before it gets to me. So it should be okay. But no, they don't like walking around. Look at that body design. Tiny little stumps, half a tonne of body to move around, so he doesn't like walking at all. That's using energy that he doesn't need to use. So if he's got a reason to go up there, he might go up and have a look. What have we got there, guys?
skipfish.
Mudskipper?
Yeah, mudskipper.
Where did he go? Oh, there he is, there, just on the edge of the water. That's a fish that walks on land. Can you see just there with the green dot on? We'll see a heap of those today. So when they're out of the water, they use their pectoral fins like legs. They drag themselves around, they push themselves with their tail. And when he's out of the water, he does carry water in his cheeks, so he can continue to breathe oxygen, but they can breathe through their skin as well when they're out of the water. The crocodiles are behaving for a fish. There's another one there holding himself too. Can you see it just there? I'll try to bring it up. Just get it right on the bow. Right on there. So that's a fish walking on land. It's quite strange behaviour. That white bird there, you can see it's a great egret. That's the largest. There he is. This is Knucklehead here on the left hand side, guys. He's the one who made that slide mark there. See him just laying up on the edge here. But nice and quiet, guys. We can't go out. Yeah. And he's been fighting. See the damage on his nose there? See the pink yellow colour there on the end of the nose? So what do you reckon the other nickname is for that egret?
Bait.
Croc tucker? Because they do get picked off here quite frequently by crocodiles. Feeding in those areas is a very dangerous place to be. So yeah, a lot of wetland birds like this great egret come down into mangroves to hunt food. But you see the feathers on it? Looks like mum's washed at the domo, doesn't it? See the damage on his nose there I was talking about today? He's been headbutting other big crocs. See the hole in his back there? Let's see the big tear coming down from on top there? So he's actually in repair mode at the moment, so he's got a lot of damage on the other side of him as well too. Big teeth marks, puncturing. And again, he's just laid there this morning as the tide was high. There's Ruby around the corner a bit further here ahead of us. And there's some of her babies from a year or so ago just laying in front of us there, right inside. See Ruby laying up on the bank there, the little guy 2-footed just halfway between us and her sort of thing. We're going to have a look there in a moment. You reckon Proserpine River's looking like a good place for a swim yet? People get in the water here, I'm going to tell you a bit about that later. Crazy behaviour. You can see those bulging neck muscles behind his head there. If Knucklehead gave you a love bite, we're talking 1.5 to 2 tonnes per square inch of jaw pressure. That's quite a phenomenal bite force, isn't it? So typically victims, as they grow, looks like Ruby's gone in the water there, she's a bit wary. So yeah, that usually kills the prey instantly when they slam those jaws shut with that sort of force. Quite a big tear that he's got in his back, isn't it? There's a gap there, it's actually slowly healing up there. So, as I said before, they do some pretty horrible things to each other. They do have the ability to shut down the blood supply to the injured area so they don't bleed to death for a starter, and then they can go ahead and repair those horrific injuries in muddy seawater. If you stuck an open wound in muddy seawater, you're really asking for trouble. You're going to get lots of nasty bugs in your wound. But these guys rarely ever get infections. They are using peptides in their blood, the antimicrobial agents. So the little guy just getting nervous as well, just like Mum did. Yeah, so they're probably a bit different to the ones those footy players take down in Victoria, but they do an excellent job on the crocodiles. They rarely ever get infections at all. Now, you'll see a lot of holes in the banks today while we're cruising as well. And some places it looks a bit like this. The little guy on the right is about to have a swimming lesson in a moment. You can see him just be laying beside us. Here comes the waves. He might change colour here as the water rushes up over him then, just watch. He might get flying up there actually, and the waves are going to But their skin looks magnificent when it's wet. All the colours and the grains are highlighted, so they do change their appearance dramatically when the moisture's on the skin. Here's Lenny over here on the left, guys. Him hiding in behind the trees there. Lenny's around 4 metres and he loves kids. We've got a couple to get him today. He should be pretty happy about that. There's a sacred kingfisher flying past us there on the left there. Yeah, Lenny looks quite pale at the moment, but he's got a lot of muddy sediment on him that's dried off, and that's why he looks so light. But typically when he's wet, he's a very dark grey black colour. I'm sorry? Look out here at the sun. No, they don't. They move around all the time. I never know where they're going to be. Probably there. Yeah. You can see the damage on him, see the hole in his belly there. He's got a repair that's happening there as well at the moment. But you notice on his back, see all the lumps and bumps that were quite pronounced on the other big guys? See how his are all smooth? So they're actually called osteoderms. Osteoderm means bony skin. You can see his eyes shut there too as well at the moment. So it's really working. Just watch when he opens the eye, you'll see a little vertical line move forward to the front of the eye. That's that third eyelid, the nictitating membrane. It's like a windscreen like as it crosses the eye. So it opens up to the front, but when he closes the eye, it slides from the front to the back. So that's that little third eyelid they use to protect the eye surface. Yeah, so the osteoderm means bony skin, by the way. So that's the armour plating that they rely on. And you'll find that these have done their job. The big guys that have been belting him. There's been about 4 ganging up on him here a couple of months ago. So the osteoderms, the tops of them have been knocked off. So he's in the process of regenerating it right now. That's one of the few things that they can replenish on the body. So they do lose spikes on the tail. See these scoots running along the tail? See all the splits he's got in them? He's scoot them up, shoot them everywhere. There's another one there. So these are called scoots, but if they get ripped off, they don't regrow them. Now the scoot itself is made of hardened cartilage, and the main purpose of the tail spike or scoot is to actually increase the surface area of the tail. So it gives them more propulsion. The tail is the power thing. And the more surface area they have, the more thrust they can gain from the tail. And the tail, of course, is just solid muscle. It kicks off just there at the back of the leg, right through the tip. So it's just all muscle. That's the bit that you normally eat if you eat crocodile in a restaurant. It's the tail. Now, the bones on the back, the osteoderms, they're quite porous, the bones that form those. So they do have a very good blood supply flowing through them. And they think maybe apart from acting as armour plating, they may also work like radios to help take heat in and out of the body. And the scoots being cartilage with a great blood supply, they think also they may work like radiators as well to take heat in and out of the body too. So quite an interesting setup really when you look at it there. Now right on the end of his nose, see that little bump there? His is quite batched around there at the moment, but he's got 2 external nostrils in that little soft pad of tissue. It's called the nasal disc. And it actually has those 2 nostrils on the outside opening into 2 canals running right through the upper jaw through to the back of the throat, and that's where they open over internal nostrils. So very good sense of smell for these guys. His eyesight is excellent. He's got colour binocular vision. We know that because of the design of the eye. They have rods and cones in the eye. Cones are colour receptors, so he's actually looking at us in Technicolor at the moment. See that third eyelid go forward there when he opens up? Sweeps across. And you see it come back as he closed. Yeah. Now, the eyes are like little half walnuts, of course. They have a vertically split pupil, just like a cat's eye, so they can open that right up at night time, get all the available light in there. But at the back of the eye, they have another enhancement. There's a layer of reflective crystals there, and these, they believe, are there to enhance their nighttime vision. It bounces the light across the retina a few times at the end of the eye. Now behind each eye, see that little bony ridge on the top of the head there? There's one on the other side too. And you can see that black foot angling down behind his eye there. I've just got the dot at the back of it. That's his ear flap cracked open on this side. And that opening from this ear goes right through the cranial platform, that flat section on top of his head, to the other ear. So he's listening to us in stereo right now. He knows which ear is actually picking up the sound waves. So their sensors are excellent. And if you look even closer, you might see those little black spots all over his face. He's got one of these on every scale on his body. They're those sensory bits that pick up the vibrations in the water. So they can hone in on food and navigate around obstacles that might be in front of them. But again, you can see Lenny's looking pretty worried there as well. He's just enjoying that sunshine today. Any questions? 30 to 33 degrees. They're a bit cooler than us. Yeah, so they do move around quite a lot to manipulate that. You see them going from areas of warmth and cool and back again into the water, into the sun, into the shade to slow the warming rate down. So in really hot weather here, they'll just use ambient temperature up under the trees in the shade to slowly warm up. Yes. Because Mum actually abandoned Ben and Zem, yeah, she sort of has her mummy mode switch and her brain just turns off and she'll swim away and leave them. Doesn't even know they're hers tomorrow. Yeah, so that's what you do, you get them back when they're 21. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Now we're passing quite a few gullies like this one on the left here today, and these are known as sultans. They're originally created by floodwater gouging through these soft soil banks, and once they've been dug out like this, seawater flows up into them quite frequently. And sultans have a quite deep V shape, they're quite a shallow design as well, and it makes it a very good place for crocodiles to go hunting, to ambush prey. So they swim into these quite often with a rising or a falling tide, and you will see them catching their prey quite successfully in those little gullies or sultans that extend off on the side of the river. Now we'll see these a little later on the wagon too. They actually extend up quite some distance onto the adjacent mainland. Well, that's where they originate really. The slide marks on the left there behind us as well too. You can see the big footprints there. Now I say this is a female because if it was a male it wouldn't be here. There's a pretty big guy hanging around up there at the moment. He wouldn't tolerate another male here. He'd actually kill it or drive it away. So she's just laying up there, crackling up on him. Guys, that one's no, still, they're all doing it. What's going on today? Have a quick look when we get back. Yeah, so even though it's dead, it's still protected, and we actually towed it back behind the boat that day. He did have his mouth open just a moment ago. He's just eased down to the edge there. He's not in a mad hurry to go in. He's just thinking about it. There we go. Look at this. This will be the slowest entry in history, I reckon. And graceful. And you just see the top of the head there now. Almost. That's what we call stealth mode. When he wants to, all he needs to show is the top of his head like that, because his eyes, his ears, and his nose are on top there. So if I told you there was nearly half a tonne of crocodile under that little bump there, you wouldn't believe me, would you? No. So talk about sneak around in their habitat very successfully. They do an excellent job. This looks like a piece of wood, doesn't it, floating around in the water there? And there he goes, look, not even a mark. So yeah, you wouldn't even know there was a croc lying under the water there now. So if you're in crocodile habitat, you really need to do yourself a bit of a favour, and you've got to stay at least 5 metres back from the edge of the water, okay? See Gus up in front of us there now, he's out of the water completely now, and he's got a bit of a half grin. Have you seen starting to open up the mouth there? That's that gaping posture. So we'll get a bit closer here. We can get a look in the mouth. It's quite impressive. Lovely yellow-orange colour scheme. That's the last thing you see when you're sliding down their neck. And it's always a good place to look at it from the boat rather than being in there, isn't it? But you'll be able to see the colours of the stain there before as well too. Inside, you will notice at the back of the throat there's no hole that's visible. They have a piece of cartilage on their tongue called the palatal valve. And what it does, it actually pushes up against the soft palate or the roof of the mouth. And actually stops water flowing down their throat when they're underneath, so it stops them from drowning. It's quite a handy thing to have, I guess, if you're a crocodile, a little bit of cartilage on the tongue to stop the water flowing down. And he hasn't opened up very much, but you can get a bit of an idea on the colour in there. And there's those very badly stained teeth I was talking about. I was talking about looking for body language. See how his back leg's laying beside his tail there? He doesn't want to go anywhere. So if he was going to go into the water, he'd have that back leg tucked in right beside his body there, ready to push off if he was feeling threatened. striated heron on the left here too, just sitting on the water. See the dot on him on the left hand side there. Just back behind us there. They target floating debris, all the sticks and leaves that are floating past hide hitchhikers like prawns, crabs and fish. So they'll actually target the debris, grab the whole lot, spit out the rubbish and eat the snack. And the two of them out on the bank here now, just beside us here. See the lighter colours on this one here, so that's that variation I was talking about. Notice the one that's wet, all the colours and the grains are quite obvious there. Slope on the left here, so the bank eating away on the outside, but this bank following it on the left, the little guy on the left here beside us, guys. See this here, at eye level. See the head in the shade and the body in the sun. You might think that's accidental, but he's done that deliberately to slow the warming rate down. So yeah, it's all done for a plan. So yeah, the heat's off the head, the body and the tail you can see are out in the sun there, well most of the tail. So it's actually doing that to slow from him. He doesn't think we can see him there, so he's just got his fingers crossed that we can't. See the head just come up then? So it's this wave that you're into, you see the front leg come up, that's actually flies or insects tickling it, making it flick its arm like that. And they do, they're quite sensitive skin, so he keeps waving at you. I told him you're coming down today, he got pretty excited about that. So it's a fishing lure in the tree here too, just beside us, a little popper here. There's mum in the water there, that's Dorothy. See her there laying on the right hand side? One of our quieter females here. We've been seeing her for 20 years now. But there her little guys up there a bit further up the side. I see she's just laying in on that right hand side. Yeah, just in the water. She'll actually catch food in front of us and eat it, this female. So she's pretty relaxed. Just going to get a bit of position here so I can hold the boat. Just going to bump into the bank here, guys. There we go. And if she didn't want us to see her, she wouldn't be on top like that, she'd be underneath. But she's just a bit wary of that other boat when it came past. But yeah, for a croc to catch food in front of you and eat it, it's a good indicator they're not too worried about your presence. And she does have some pretty horrible table manners, Dorothy. She does a lot of burping. She does a lot of yawning too. It's quite impressive to see her open up like that. She did something she'd never done before that I'd seen in the last 24 years. A couple of weeks ago, she actually sneezed. Scared the living daylights out of everyone up the front there because we were right there next to her on the bank. And so something was tickling her nose and she just let go. There's one of the babies up under the tree there. See the green dot there, just on the little guy, the black stick. Some of them scurry through the water, but there's one just laying up there under the tree at the moment. Just watch what she's going to do here. Now she was over on that left-hand side here a few months ago. We were actually checking out a little croc down further. And I don't know what she was up to, she was hunting I think, and next thing she started swimming quite rapidly towards the boat, and then she dived under the boat when she got pretty close, and it was quite strange for her, but didn't know what she was up to. Then she climbed out on the bank on the inside of us, and she had a 3-foot catfish in her mouth, so she caught it over there and swam across here to show off that she caught this fish and then ate it in front of us. So she's being a real show off. Yeah. You could hear her crunching it up, yeah, it's pretty impressive. Yeah, Dorothy has been nesting down around this area for quite a few years now, but she did nest up around the corner from our campsite a few years back as well. She came right up the top there, so they do move around quite a bit. Against the bank here. And again, as I said before, she's just sitting on top because she's familiar with us. She also lets us sit next to her with babies at her feet as well. But you can see the little guy scattered around up there. There's one down on the edge of the water there. We've got to get the dot lined up. There's one up on the bank there, one down on the edge of the water there. There's a couple there in the water. You can see these little heads sticking up there. So they're all just sitting there hanging out with mum. That's Dorothy and the kids. rightio, we're going to start making our way up towards your morning tea, guys. You must be all starving after all that hard work, eh?